Open the gate, Super Cross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited today. One of my new friends in this world is with us today. Ralf Mandt is trying to build an online pitch system for the crowdfunding community. It's so exciting. I can't wait to introduce you to Ralf Mandt, the president and co-founder of Next Pitch TV. Ralph, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your enthusiasm for equity crowdfunding, which I share.
Yeah, it is. You're just a kindred spirit, and I think your philosophy about how we can approach this and supporting this in an expanded digital media format is exciting. Uh, how did you come up with this idea for doing the pitch concept on television?
Well, it basically came about because I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. And that's great, except it basically is a one-way medium. You can enjoy it, and that's great, and that's all there is to it. And then equity crowdfunding came about. I mean, Howard Marks of Start Engine told me about it in 2015. And it's kind of like, oh, wow. You mean to say that you can now raise funding from the crowd, not just accredited investors? And basically, I had a startup at the time, my 11th, called NextRx. And I thought, oh, wow, if you can raise funding from the crowd, that is a really fascinating opportunity, especially for a new industry. So why don't I get one of the campaigns on the first day that it goes live? And that's exactly what we did. Unfortunately, the NextRx did software for medical marijuana patients. So we got exposure, which is what we wanted, except only 2 days later, the campaign was taken down because the escrow bank refused to handle the transactions because they are cannabis related. So, but we did get front page LA Times coverage. Cannabis crowdfunding campaign goes up in smoke. It wasn't the article we were looking for, but it got me fundamentally very excited about the concept of equity crowdfunding because, as I said, I've started over 12 companies by now. And in the past, I always had to bootstrap. So here was an opportunity not only to raise funding from the crowd on favorable terms, but my God, you're getting funding and the crowd. To my mind, doesn't get any better.
It really is such a fun way to approach investing. Instead of being in this very hierarchical, venture investor, almost hostile sometimes to the interests of a founder, we're in this community where it's kind of a share and share alike mentality and philosophy. Very exciting. I love this space, and it's exciting to hear how you have come to it as well with your experience and your entrepreneurship. Uh, Tell us a little bit more about Next Pitch TV.
Right. Basically, after the disappointing there for NextRx, we basically went ahead and created Next Pitch TV with the objective of being the first interactive aggregator, where we showcase the most innovative equity crowdfunding campaigns for the crowd. And the name of the game is for the viewers, like Shark Tank, you see it, except unlike Shark Tank, you can hit the button. That's what makes this thing all unique, including the ability for the viewers to actually build their own portfolio. So that because, of course, we're aggregating from all the different platforms, the important part is not the platform, the important part is the innovation of the campaigns. So that is really what this is about, so that the user can create their own portfolio and rate campaigns for themselves. And I should point out, uh, what makes equity crowdfunding so exciting from my perspective is that you're not looking for investments of 100,000 or 50,000. I mean, it would be nice, but most investments are 100, 500, maybe 1,000, not people's life savings. So it's a different game. However, we do want to make it possible for the investors or fuelers, as I prefer to call them, to do their due diligence. Even if it's only 500, yes, you do want to know the general specifics, and that is already provided for through the app, or through the solution, I should say. So that is really the name of the game. Get inspired, do your research by all means, and then if you like it, hit the button. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, the crowd has a remarkable ability to do due diligence, right? Because
Yes,
everyone does a little bit, everyone brings their wisdom, everyone scrutinizes it in a different way, and creating a mechanism like you are, right? Creating that mechanism to share those insights, uprate, vote on, and support those. It helps to establish the groupthink, don't you think? It helps to establish groupthink's a bad label for it. It helps to create the wisdom of the crowd, right?
you make a very good point. Although our vision for the future, we're far from that at the moment, is, however, to say, how can we, in a way, almost reverse tables? Meaning, at this point, if you have a live campaign, obviously you want as many visitors as possible who hopefully become investors. And that's great. It's kind of, please, 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 can you make an investment? Well, if we can build a big enough audience, then you might say the tables are actually turned, meaning there are only 6 pieces of pizza on the table in this hypothetical example. If you want one, you better grab it while you can, which is obviously a very interesting dynamic. It creates excitement in its own right, even though at this point that's still a long way for us to get there. So, that's a vision.
Well, but it's more real than you might think, right? I'm sure you've experienced this too. But as I seek to make investments, I've often thought, well, I'll do a little more due diligence before I invest in this deal. And I bet 3 or 4 times over the last few years, I've intended to make an investment in a deal that closed before I could. And so, yeah, this pizza metaphor is really apt, right? There are 6 slices of pizza on the table, and yeah, you can cut them up into smaller pieces, but that pizza is going to be gone if you're not
Right.
careful, and you won't have a chance to invest. So that's a great, great metaphor. I love it. Uh,
Move it or
Ralph,
lose it.
tell us a little bit about some of your other efforts at entrepreneurship. You said you've done a dozen deals now. Tell us a little bit about how some of these have prepared you for what you're doing today with Next Pitch TV.
Yeah, and I mean, in total, I've done 12 startups at least, and in a broad range. I started off with an importing company where we imported Japanese pet cages. That led me to discover pretty quickly I didn't want to deal with something that was bulky, that we had to inventorize, and that I couldn't really identify with in the way that I wanted to. So I moved on to promotional products and ultimately watches and paperweight clocks. And it was very clear how important it is to have a unique angle. In our case, it was polarizing dials, where the message would gradually appear and disappear every 30 seconds. So that gave us an edge, and that helped us build that company, in this case, Europa Watch, to just under 6 million in revenue. That was pretty substantial. But we also were very innovative by creating our own software and to manage all the orders and so forth directly. Timing is always an issue. So it was a question of how can we arrange it so that rather than sending artwork, for example, by FedEx or whatever to, in this case, Hong Kong at the time, can we do it digitally with this new thing called the internet? And laser printers, my God. You can actually do color separated artwork at that kind of quality that you don't have to have the express mail anymore. So anyway, we developed our own software, which also led to one of the other startups called Logistics, for example, because I got more and more interested in the technological aspects of business. And quite frankly, it's hard to beat when you have a product that can be scaled digitally, i.e., if you want to sell 1,000 watches rather than 100, you have to buy 1,000 watches. If you want to sell 1,000 apps, as an example, compared to 100, you don't have to recreate anything. You're reselling the same thing. So to me, that has been really exciting to see the world more and more moving to this digital realm. And so That's what I've done with many of my startups in the software space. So you can actually learn more at iapprentice.com for the startup.
Oh, great! It's great. I think we can all learn a lot from you. Having, I would much rather learn from your mistakes than mine.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a lot cheaper, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing some of those insights with us. As you think about the future of crowdfunding, one of the things that I see in this, again, the kind of the regulated investment crowdfunding marketplace is I feel like we're seeing some real scale, right? And I think you started this back in 2016, and there wasn't sufficient scale. You kind of shelved this project for a little while. You're back because there is more activity. There's more action in this space. But it seems to me, as even though we're seeing more, that we're really at the beginning of something that is huge rather than that maturation of something that is small. What do you think?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, basically, when we started Next Pitch TV, the vision was great, but timing is an absolutely crucial aspect. In the first year, there are 132 campaigns in the whole year. How are you going to do a show where at that time we're selecting 10 campaigns per show? Well, you don't have a whole lot of selection at that rate. So we basically said, okay, right idea, wrong timing, let's let it be. And then in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, WeFunder actually reached out to me and said, hey, what's the story with this next pitch? It's kind of, we've been tracking all the campaigns in the meantime anyway, because of my personal passion, I mean. And the issue became of saying, wow, we now have more than 500 concurrently live campaigns. Selection isn't the problem anymore. The number is no longer an issue. Let's bring this thing back to life. And the timing, I think, now is right. So as a result, we just put a Test the Waters campaign on WeFunders that anybody can access from the nextpitch.tv website. And we're looking to get support so that we can finance, especially the software development, to finally take this where it needs to go, or where I'd like it to go. So,
yeah, this is really an exciting opportunity for people to be a part of building not just your business, but this whole industry, right, around regulated investment crowdfunding. This is an exciting place where a lot is happening now. And I think if you look at the world of small business finance in all of its shapes and sizes, there is something on the order of $1 trillion flowing in this space. And it's my view that crowdfunding could occupy a majority of that space, making it literally hundreds of times bigger than it is today. That's my view. And so getting in to your business or any crowdfunding business today seems to me to be a smart bet. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not yours. But I'm excited about this space and excited about what you're doing. Forgive me. We're going to take a quick break here. We're here today with Ralf Mandt. Ralf is the founder and he is the president of Next Pitch TV. It's an innovative platform for sharing live offerings in a fun and exciting way on television. Very exciting. We're going to take a pause. When we come back, we're going to talk to Ralf about his superpower. You do not want to miss this discussion, so stick around.
You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can be a green at Raise Green.
Want to learn from the world's great change makers? Find your superpower. Subscribe to the Superpowers for Good newsletter at superpowersforgood.com. Make your strengths into superpowers that will change the world. Join the super crowd today. Superpowers4good.com.
Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited. We're here with Ralf Mandt, the president and founder of Next Pitch TV, which bringing tremendous excitement to the, kind of the love of my life, the regulated investment crowdfunding community. But we're going to talk to Ralf now about his superpower. So stick around for this conversation. You don't want to miss it. Ralf, you have done extraordinary things, just one entrepreneurial thing after another, the true consummate serial entrepreneur. What is your superpower?
Probably in a nutshell, it is a combination of my passion and experience. As you say, I've done over 12 companies. You learn a lot in the process, but I have not ever lost my excitement about the startup adventure. As I like to say, there's no thrill quite like that of creating something out of nothing. That's why I love entrepreneurship. So when you combine that with experience so that you can gradually avoid the inevitable problems, or at least minimize them, to be more precise, that is a big deal. And at the same time, the equity crowdfunding is such a game changer, specifically for startups, that the whole idea of getting both funding and potentially an audience of evangelists, as it were, is just very, very exciting to me. And as you know, by now, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. When I started, it was not clear whether this was going to go anywhere, but boy, it sure has.
Yeah, it is going places. And as you think about that combination of passion and experience, can you think of a specific experience where you brought that together for an impact that you're proud of accomplishing?
That's a good question. I mean, there was one case for a company called Alpha Biz, which basically seeks to establish a marketplace to make it easier for entrepreneurs to go ahead and sell their business. I'm talking about relatively small businesses. I was able to help them to, especially with the software solution, to try to put that together and get traction at the earliest possible time. So that's just one small example, although there we have not yet done equity crowdfunding. They're still considering that. But that is just one that comes to mind.
Well, it is kind of an exciting thing to contemplate, all that's going on, and I'm excited to learn from you. And in that vein, I wonder if you would take just a minute and tell people how to leverage their own passion and experience to make that into a useful superpower like yours. How do we bring those things together with real power?
That's a hard one to answer. I mean, the problem is that everybody thinks, oh, you have to have the right idea. And of course, yes, it is essential ultimately. But success lies in a lot more than just having the right idea, or to be more precise, to identify a genuine need, the ability to actually meet that need, even if it is correct, is a whole different game. Because when you start a startup, guess what? You're the CEO, and that's great, and you're the trash man at the bottom, and everything in between. And of course, even if you have all the requisite skills or can develop them, my God, the challenge keeps on changing at every stage, meaning there's a difference between being one or two or three co-founders and growing to 10, 20, 30 people and so forth, and scaling from there. In other words, there has to be an evolution even in the individual. And quite frankly, many people are simply not set up for that, not to mention the almost inevitable highs and lows. Because if you're not ready for the lows, you're not ready for entrepreneurship, at least from my experience. On the other hand, the highs can be absolutely fantastic. Put cannabis to rest, so to speak.
Yeah. Great pun. Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. We're excited about what you're doing, the things you're accomplishing, and we want to see you succeed. Before we wrap up, I wonder if you would just take a few minutes here, Ralph, and tell people how they can learn more about Next Pitch TV, how they can connect with you personally, and of course, take 30 seconds and walk us through how we participate in the WeFunder campaign.
Great. Thanks so much for this opportunity. Yes, anybody who likes to support us, and we definitely need your support and I would appreciate it, just go to nextpitch.tv and then click on the large image showing the Shark Tank studio, so to speak, and that will take you to our Test the Waters campaign. Please explore it, make sure that it even makes sense to you, even though the vision is pretty basic, or pretty simple, I should say. And then if you feel excited by this, as I hope you will, we would love to get your support. It's a minimum investment, or reservation to be more precise, of $100. I should explain, this is a Test the Waters rather than a Reg CF campaign. What that means is that after we've raised or gotten $50,000 in reservations, only then can we actually convert it to a Reg CF campaign. So that's quite a hurdle. So whatever support you can provide, that would be great. And you can reach out to me at Ralf, that is RALF, not PH, at nextpitch.tv. And I look forward to hearing from you.
Well, Ralph, we're thrilled at what you're doing. We want to wish you every success. This is such a fun thing. What a great addition to the crowdfunding ecosystem. And we really hope that you will be successful and help us build and accelerate this great movement that is helping so many entrepreneurs and investors with their missions and objectives. So again, thank you very much. We wish you every success.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. And I must say, I admire what you're doing. Keep it up. It's really fascinating.
All righty. Thank you so much. Let's do some good.